alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you all my students? I hope that you are fine. Today, inshallah, we are going to speak about the grammar of Unit 8. So the first lesson will be a revision for Unit 8 grammar. The first structure that we have in Unit 8 is in your course book, page 131. This structure is about expressions of purpose. What are these expressions? So that, in order to, so as to, and to. As I told you before, that we use these phrases to express purpose or to speak about the reason for doing different actions. We have two forms of these phrases. The first one is the positive form. The second is the negative form. To know the difference between both forms, let's have some examples to know what is the difference between the positive and the negative form of these different phrases. I went to the shop in order to have a look at the latest smartphones. Let us rephrase the same sentence by using the other expressions that we have. Here we used in order to. I went to the shop to have a look at the latest smartphones. Here we used to. I went to the shop so that I could have a look at the latest smartphones. We used so that. The last sentence, I went to the shop so as to look at the latest smartphone. If you noticed that all these sentences or all these expressions have the same meaning, they are all expressing the reason for going to this shop. They are all have the same meaning and they express the reason for doing this action. Let's speak about, or let's have some examples about the negative form. I have switched my phone to silent in order not to disturb you. I've switched my phone to silent so as not to disturb you. I have switched my phone to silent so that it doesn't disturb you. Here, in the negative form, we used not, but we have to use it before to, not after it. Okay? After looking to these different sentences, if you notice that here, in order to have, so that I could have, so as to look. After in order to, after to, after so as to, we used here the infinitive of the verb. But after so that, we used a pronoun, then we used a verb. So we can extract from these sentences the main form of the structure. The main form is that after to, in order to, so as to, we use the infinitive, which means the origin of the verb or the verb without any additions. Okay? And after so that, we use a pronoun plus verb. For example, when I say, I took all precautions not to be infected with the coronavirus. It's the same meaning when I say, I took all precautions so that I couldn't be infected with the coronavirus. Here I used not to. After to, we used be, which is the infinitive of verb to be. Here, after so that, I used I, the pronoun, then I used couldn't, which is the verb. So this was the first structure of Unit 8 grammar. Let's go to the second structure, which is about the future passive tense. What do we use the future passive tense for? We use the will passive to talk about what will be done in the future or to predict what you think will happen. If we noticed here that we have passive, the future passive tense. Do you remember the difference between the passive and the active form of all tenses? Let's have a look. The difference between the passive and the active form of all tenses. In the active form, or the active form means that we know the person who did or does the action. The passive form means that we don't know the person who did or does the action. We use did when we are talking about the past. We use does when we are talking about the present. And we use will when we are talking about the future tense. So in all tenses, we have passive and active form. What is the main form of the future passive tense? The form of the tense. The form of the future passive tense is subject plus will be plus past participle. Past participle, which is verb 3 or the third person of the verb. For example, when I say in the future lessons will be given over the internet. Lessons will be given over the internet in the future. Here I mean that I don't know who will do this. Or the most important in this sentence is the action itself. It's not important to know who will do this action. Another example. In the future, films won't be shown in cinemas. They will be watched at home. Won't be shown, this is the negative form of the future passive tense. Won't is the short form of will not. In the future, films will not be shown or won't be shown. They will be watched. Will be plus past participle. To form a question by using the future passive tense, we use will at the beginning as a question word. For example, will all exams be taken online? The answer for this question will be yes, they will, or no, they won't. This was the second structure of Unit 8 Grammar. The third and the last one. The third structure is about expressing regret and criticism. To express regret and criticism of the past actions, we use wish, that, or without that, if only, plus past perfect. As you all know, the form of the past perfect is had plus past participle. We use these two phrases plus past perfect to express wishes about the past. We use should have or the negative form of it shouldn't have plus past participle or verb 3 to express criticism of the past actions, both one's own actions and those of other people. Here I mean to criticize my own action or to criticize other people's actions. Let's have some examples to know the difference between them. The first example, I wish I had done more revision for the exam. Here I mean that I didn't do enough revision for the exam, and I regret that I didn't do this. I wish I had done more revision for the exam. Another example, if only I hadn't eaten much food, it means that I already had eaten much food and I regret that I did this action. I should have waited for my friend. Here I mean that I didn't wait for my friend, and I regret this action. I should have waited for him. Another example, by using the negative form of should have, which is shouldn't have. I shouldn't have sent that email. Here I mean that I already sent that email and I criticize my action. You should have phoned me. Here also I mean that I didn't phone him. For example, before visiting his home, I didn't phone him and I criticize my action. Or here exactly he or my friend is criticizing my action. You should have phoned me. This was the last structure of Unit 8 grammar. I hope that you enjoyed our lesson for today and good